photography department's video on shutter speed and camera movement. You notice here we are in the studio, a nice sharp image. You can see the texture in the bodice of the blouse. These are out of focus, these Christmas tree lights. You can see light peeking through the curtain here, hitting the rolls of paper. That's the blue light. This is a tungsten light. These are tungsten lights with gels. Not the point. Anyhow, if you take a look here, this is a much longer exposure. You can tell by the overexposure, and you can see that the camera has moved quite a bit and caused a lot of streaking and smudginess. Let's get back to something fundamental. Photography is about light capture to create an image. In this case, we're not using film, we're using a sensor with millions of pixels on it. This is the front of the camera, the lens mounts here, and buried back in here, you have your sensor. This is a similar shot, but you can see a shutter covering it. These are light proof. And the shutter's job is to control the amount of light that hits that sensor. And they do that with shutter speed. This is a shutter that's in partial motion, and sometimes you'll have shutters that just do a strip of exposure all the way through the sensor. Some go left to right, some use solid curtains, all kinds of different ones. But the shutter controls the amount of light that hits that sensor. This is pretty handy. It shows you shutter speeds and very roughly what shutter speeds are required for certain kinds of tasks and how you have to manage shutter speeds. You can study that on your own. Take a look here. This is a shot of a piece of rock art. I'm hand holding this at 1 second, and you can see that my camera has moved diagonally a bit. This is kind of mushy. There's no really good detail. Things are smeared. But if you go to the next one at 1/15 of a second, and I prop my elbows in a V to hold this camera still, look at all the detail that you get here. And that's lost with handheld slow shutter speeds. Check this one out. This is the upper portion of an urn in my office, and you can see by looking at the highlights in this that in 1 second I've moved a lot here and things get mushy and crummy and stuff like that. Here we are, very, very sharp focus. But look here, this is supposed to be gray. You can see red and green. You can see pixels that are too loud. This is black. You can see all these other colored pixels. That's what happens when you use a high amplification. But it's sharp at 1/100th. Here's another one at 1/15 of a second, these textiles, and you can see that they're mushy. You can tell that there's detail in there. You just can't see it. And it looks like I'm kind of moved up and down here at 1/15 of a second. But at 1/100th of a second, this is, as they call, gnat's ass sharp. You can see all the detail at 1/100th of a second because you can hand hold that and get good detail. Where hand holding below a 30th, maybe not so good. All right? Your shutter speeds have a lot to do with how you can control the effects of motion when you're hand holding. Thank you for your kind attention.